Welcome to Discussing Fitchburg Now. I'm your host, Sam Squalia, in this August edition, our summer show at Discussing Fitchburg Now. This week we're talking about the Fitchburg Cultural Council and all our cultural activity and opportunities that we have coming up in Fitchburg. And then in our second half, we're going to be talking with United Way Youth Venture and a few youth venture teams to talk about their opportunities for almost little mini businesses and little nonprofits. So up now, I have my friend Joe Bowen, who's the chair of the Fitchburg Cultural Council. Yep. And we have EMMANUELLA, who is going to be a soon-to-be member of the Fitchburg Cultural Council. Welcome.
Thank you for having us. Good to see you again. Yeah.
All right. So the Fitchburg Cultural Council, right?
Yes.
Anything new and exciting this year?
We're growing.
We're growing.
We are. Yes. So we've obtained appointments from the mayor for 3 additional members.
Yes.
EMMANUELLA being one of them. So we're going to be happy to have her on board when the council votes are in September. We are also adding Miriam and Millie, who are also Fitchburg residents and have been active in the community, have worked for the city in the past, and some have worked for government assistance programs and so forth, and it's really helping us to expand the diversity of the council itself and have more reach into various areas of the community for the different programs that we could possibly obtain from all of those folks.
I love it. And you need to have constant new members and new volunteers in order to keep everything fresh and keep new ideas flowing.
Every member is on a 3-year term, renewable only once. And you can obviously come back, well, maybe not obvious to you, but we can come back for another term or 2 after, but you have to take a year break in between. By having people cycle through every 3 years, you get some new faces, some new ideas, and potentially some new and bigger progress as well from having all those new faces to come join the council. It's
a pretty good setup, actually. So you don't get
it's good rotation.
One. You might have one toxic member of a group or a few toxic members that might stifle progress.
Correct.
But this system helps constantly bring in new people and constantly have changeover.
That's correct.
Yeah. So it really sounds like a good system. And I know that you have some fancy graph that you're planning on for future members, right?
Yeah, I did this whole.
You need some sort of minimum amount of members.
A certain number of members that we should have on at all times, and how do we maintain that? And what if this person decides that they want to end their term early? Well, then we have to staff up an extra person and try to grow it to a point where we can sustain the job functions. Within the council. The council, you have the president or the chairman, you have a secretary, you have a treasurer, and the rest are members today, but there are many other positions within the council that we could create based on our growth and opportunities that we take advantage of. We could do our own fundraising. We could have a publicity person, which I think we desperately need on the council.
Everyone could use more publicity.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're interested in joining the Fitchburg Cultural Council, you can go to Fitchburg MA Cultural Council and send them a message and say, hey, what would it take?
That's right.
All right.
Yep. Or reach out to me directly if you could find me.
So we are upcoming on our grant season. Already.
Yes.
The big grant season, which the Fitchburg, Massachusetts Cultural Council is a local council that's funded by our statewide Massachusetts Cultural Council, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And this year here we have more money.
Yes. So last year we were what's called level funded, meaning that we got the same amount of money for this year's grant season that we did for last year's. This time around in the new fiscal year, both the Senate and the House voted to increase the funding for the Mass Cultural Council by $2 million. Our Representative Steve Hay and Senator Dean Tran had a hand in voting for that legislation, which was really great. It did get vetoed by the governor, but then overridden by the legislature. So fortunately, thanks to their support, we're going to see a portion of that funds to come right into Fitchburg.
And here in Fitchburg, we know how important arts and culture is to our local economy and our future plans for our growth.
Yes.
So thank you, Senator Tran and Representative Hay.
Yes.
All right, so we're expecting approximately what kind of budget for this year's grants?
Well, we won't actually know what the budget will be. Our budget last year was $26,000.
Which is a pretty good amount of money compared to...
It is a pretty good amount of money, but if you look at the total amount requested in our grant applications, it's pretty small.
Yeah, so we have approximately 100...
We got $104,000 in requests for funding last year, and we were only able to award the $26,000, which means we had to turn some money away. We also, for those that qualified for grant funding, we had to partially fund many of their requests.
Right.
Yeah.
In order to have more projects.
Right. So, and this year, it's really hard to know how they're going to distribute that $2 million. The Mass Cultural Council has more programs than just the local cultural councils, and there are 330 of those, something like that, in Massachusetts. So there's a lot of money, a lot of people to share in that pot. I'd be happy with a couple thousand personally, but if we get way more than that, it'd be even better.
More is better than less.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we have a upcoming public input meeting for the Cultural Council so that you can join and say, this is what I would like you to fund. Here are the projects that I would like you to focus on when you approve these grants. And why don't you talk about our upcoming public input meeting? Yeah,
sure. So the input meeting is coming up. It's a week from today, 5 to 7 p.m. at the Fitchburg Historical Society, which is in the Upper Common area of Main Street. We're combining it with what we are calling a grantee reception. We're inviting folks that have received money from the council to come on down and meet and greet the members of the council and members of the public and share ideas and stories of their events and things like that. And then we will call the official part of the public input meeting to order, where we will run through a series of questions about what the public would like to have the Cultural Council fund. And I will be emceeing the event, and we'll be talking about a lot of what we're talking about at the show today, about what the Cultural Council is, how we're funded, how the grant season works. And
how you fill out a grant. Who can fill out a grant?
Yes, yes. So grants can be intimidating for people who have never done it before.
It sounds intimidating.
But the Mass Cultural Council has done a really good job and have made an online application for it, which is very easy to follow. It is pretty intuitive, but not intuitive for everybody. And the Cultural Council will be holding 1 or 2 grant writing trainings during the course of grant season to help folks who are intimidated by that or don't really know how to do that, and we'll help them along.
All right, so the grant public input meeting for the Fitchburg Cultural Council is Wednesday, August 22nd from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Fitchburg Historical Society. And everyone is welcome.
Everyone from the public and the area. And there's light refreshments,
including cookies, right?
There will be light refreshments, cookies included, yes, that is true. And another great thing is right after that, it will be ending at 7. It'll be right in the middle of the Concerts on the Common, which will be also that same evening. And when you're done with the public input meeting, you can go right across the street to the Upper Common and watch the second set of the music program.
Perfect.
Which was also funded by the Cultural Council.
Funded by the Fitchburg Mass Cultural Council in part.
That's correct.
Right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay, great. So now, at last year's public input meeting, did that help to form your council's kind of focus on what you were going to approve for grants, or was it kind of just we'll see what we get in?
No, the public input meeting is how we define what we will fund every season. So last year, the public advised us they wanted to see more programs for families, for children, and programs that involve music. And so the majority of our funding what we have funded, were in those areas. And the other things which the Mass Cultural Council requires of any grant that's awarded is that it needs to be for the benefit of the city of Fitchburg, it needs to be open to the public, and it needs to be accessible.
Accessible, like handicap accessible.
Like handicap accessible, correct.
Totally reasonable requirements.
Right. Okay. And yeah, so and the process of going through the applications takes many hours. There's many late evenings where the council comes together.
The Cultural Council.
Yes, November and December, right smack dab in the holiday season, when we all have all that extra time. We go in and we might have 3 or 4-hour meetings going through and judging these applications based on are they complete? If they're not complete, we can't accept them. Do they meet the requirements set forth by the public? And then we go, when we're done with that, we have our list of what we can fund. then we have to figure out how much to fund. And that is, I've been calling it mathematical gymnastics to try to figure that out.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
I can imagine.
Yes, when you
Okay,
don't have that much.
so before we get into the logistics of how the grants work,
Yes.
let's talk about projects that have been funded. You know, like give me some examples of some projects that were funded last year.
Okay.
You know, we
True
have
story.
we have Concerts on the Common.
We do have the concerts on the Common.
We have the
Manuel, do you
farmers
want to talk
market.
about a few?
We have the farmers market
Sure.
music, right?
The what?
Farmers market music.
Music.
Yes,
During
the
the
music
farmers
program
market.
at the Farmers Market is funded by the council as well.
There's also the True Story event, which was a public spoken word or storytelling event.
It was at the Man Cave,
Yep.
and now
formerly
it's
Man Cave.
at Sizer.
It was at Sizer,
Sizer.
and the venue for September's event has not been chosen yet. However, I have some ideas.
Yep.
Okay. Oh.
Yes, and it's a really awesome idea, but I
Yeah.
can't tell anybody about it yet.
Cool.
Well, thanks for mentioning it live on the air, Joe.
Well, that was actually how I met Joe, was through that event.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
the spoken word.
Yep.
Stories. What
It was a
called?
story- Storytelling event?
Tell poetry, tell stories, sing songs, whatever your
Comfortable
inspiration
sharing
is.
with, yeah.
Like an open mic night,
It's like an open mic night.
Essentially,
sort of.
except more for stories and spoken word.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I like it. I like it.
So, and then we have other music programs that we funded. We do the Fitchburg Military Band.
Oh yes.
Plays for a few Sundays in the
They
summer.
were rained out recently, but they'll be playing
Yes.
again.
Yes,
And I
they
think
were.
they're coming up early September at Hollis Hills Farm.
Yes.
So if you go to Fitchburg Mass Military Band on Facebook, if you search that, you'll find the information there.
Yep, that's correct. And there are other bands that are booked to play in Cogswell Park.
Oh yes,
On
Sunday
Sundays,
concert series.
the Sunday concert series.
They've been rained out a bunch too.
I know, it's been such a rainy season.
Yeah.
We lost 3 concerts on the Common.
Yeah.
But the good thing is they're just rescheduling them and they're moving it into September.
Love it.
Cooler weather, earlier evenings. It would be nice to do that. One of the more unique grants that we funded in the past year was something called the geocaching workshop,
Oh yeah.
which for those who don't know what geocaching is, it's a scavenger hunt of sorts that you use your phone or GPS device to locate what might be a little box of trinkets or something that you can take or leave something or write a note in, and it's an interactive scavenger hunt that is all over the area. And the workshop that we did in Fitchburg was at the Crocker Reservation, which was operated by the North County Land Trust.
Nice.
Yeah,
And that
so-
already occurred?
That already occurred, correct. Project SOAR, the
Oh,
world's
yes.
largest paper airplane.
We have a picture right on the screen right here of some Project SOAR. Can you pull that
Yeah,
up,
this
Matt?
one's a Project SOAR. There's the finished
Oh yeah,
plane.
yeah. Pull this picture up. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
We have the Guinness Book of World Records largest paper airplane sculpture,
That's correct.
or largest paper sculpture, I think it is.
think it's
that or
largest paper airplane.
Is it?
airplane made of artwork.
Yeah.
or- yeah, it definitely broke a record.
And that
Which
was
is
partially
nice.
funded by the Fitchburg Cultural Council.
That is correct. This particular project was just incredible. It had worldwide coverage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it put Fitchburg on the map. It was amazing.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's what we need more of. More
We
projects
definitely
that put
do.
Fitchburg on the map for great things.
Yes, and that's really what a good focus of the Cultural Council needs
And
to
that's
be. is
really
to
what you
promote
can
Fitchburg
use
and what
the
we can
Cultural
do.
Council for.
Yes.
You know, as like seed money to start bigger projects.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah, so one big project that's a great draw for the area is Civic Days
Civic Days.
over the 4th of July weekend and the duck race. You know?
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And
So
both
the-
of those are funded in part by the Cultural Council.
Yep, they're all part of the Civic Days program. So yeah, and the Cultural Council funded that.
What about some smaller things that everyone might? What about some good ideas that we might want people to do? All right.
Well, there was
Because you know, sometimes like I'm like,
there's-
I'd love to do something, but I can't think of anything.
right,
Yeah.
or it could be I'd love to do something, but I don't
How
know
do I
how
do
to
it?
get started.
Yeah.
I need money. How do I do it? You know, I've been talking to a lot of people over the past couple of years, being on the council, and I meet people who have these incredible ideas of things that they want to do. There's-
Like you could get
this-
money for them.
Yeah, and they're like, I can.
Absolutely.
How do I do that? So then I coach them on that, and I think we're going to see a big uptick in our grant applications this year.
Oh, good. Because the more
from
grant
that-
applications
those
we
meeting
get,
dates.
we show the state that we need more funding.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we make ourselves eligible to get that funding, which is nice.
It's all a win-win.
Yeah, so one of the idea projects I was thinking about was, you know, the pool house in Coolidge.
Yes, I do.
There's this wall where the showers are.
Okay.
It's just this drab gray wall with shower heads come out of it. Wouldn't it be great if you could get an artist to paint images of some animals with weird snouts, and those snouts are the shower heads?
Love
That'd
it.
be really funny, yeah.
And,
Or the back of the pool house, it could be a mural of dogs looking out at the new dog park
Right.
that's coming soon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's right.
Okay, that's a good one.
yeah.
write that down.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of creative people in this city, and you know, applying for grants through the Fitchburg Cultural Council, it's a really great way for people to, you know, take their passion projects, their ideas, and, you know, make them a reality, and, you know, make it, you know, public and beneficial to our city, and, you know, put us on the map again.
It's one easy way,
Yep.
you know, to get involved in our local community and
Absolutely.
offer something to the public.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, I just came up with a good idea, since you were talking about geocaching, a metal detecting workshop.
Yes.
Right? And
Yeah.
A lot of metal
Chuck
detectors.
Seglin, he's
Yep.
doing his Chuck and Dirt,
That's right, he's got a
videos
YouTube channel
on the
now,
YouTube
right?
channel,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What if he offered, Chuck, what if you offered a metal detecting workshop? And we have a few other good metal detectors also that are always talking on Discussing Fitchburg Now.
Yeah,
With
they've
their
popped up
finds,
recently,
they're always
yes.
showing their finds.
Yes.
What if they showed people, you know, they probably have an extra metal detector,
Yeah.
show people how to use
Right.
it.
Yeah,
Or even go take them on a hunt,
that's good. That's good.
okay?
Yeah.
I
So-
have another idea.
Okay.
Painting the crosswalks, like at the Upper Common or on Main Street. The Upper Common crosswalks for the farmers market, we need vegetables. We need vegetable crosswalk,
Right.
Or fruits.
We could do a crosswalk made with kernels of corn.
Oh, I like that.
It's almost like a yellow brick road, but it's a twist, right?
I like,
like
that.
that.
Oh, corn. Yeah, it's very corny. So, and
I
I've
like
also
how you
seen-
think.
I've also seen pictures shared of like a pride rainbow crosswalk.
Oh, yeah, I've
crossing
seen
the road.
pictures
I'm not
of
sure
that.
where that might be best.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I like it, and you could probably get you might be able to get
It could qualify.
Cultural
Yeah,
Council
yeah, it could.
funding
It
for
is,
that.
it is an art project, so sure. It's eligible.
Okay. What else do we got? Outdoor theater.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Shakespeare in
So-
the Park, but in Fitchburg,
Shakespeare in the Park.
or
You
even
don't-
contemporary plays.
Yeah, we you partially fund Riverfront Children's Theater, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And so, what if you had outdoor theater at Gateway Park in that
Yes.
amphitheater?
That is a perfect venue for some performances
Yeah, you
of
could
some kind of nice
put it out to
flat
the
area
public.
for band or performers to set up.
Get
and-
some money for costumes, get some money for your people, get some money for promotion.
Yeah.
All of that is
Yeah.
eligible, right?
So what about
That,
a health, mind, and body day? And say that same
Yoga
park.
in the park.
You do yoga,
Yeah.
we do meditation, massage,
Yes.
Zumba.
Get involved with
Right,
girls.
Wouldn't it be so cool to watch people do Zumba at the park?
Yeah, of course it would.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, we got these good
Yeah.
ideas. See, we need people in the community.
So if
there's a
anyone's
lot
out
of-
there that wants
Run
to
with
do a
these
project
ideas.
like
These
this,
are open ideas.
that's right.
Okay.
Run with it. Come to the public meeting. Come meet me, and we'll talk about how to get it
I
done.
liked that yoga in the
Yeah.
park idea. I want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does Fitchburg do like a battle of the bands? I know there's a lot of musicians in this
We
area.
have
That would be something.
we have that with the Fitchburg High Band and the Leominster High Band. We have
Okay.
breakfast with the bands.
Breakfast with the bands.
And that's a fundraiser by the Rotary,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I
Fitchburg
see.
Rotary.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of like musicians in Fitchburg. Maybe we could do, you know, like one big
I think we
concert or
should
like
do
a battle of the bands.
A Fitchburg.
Ooh, I like that.
Fitchburg
Yeah.
Ooh,
Palooza.
a
Battle of the
Fitchburg
bands.
Palooza.
Yes.
Ooh, I like that.
Right.
Yeah, a battle of the bands.
Yeah.
Battle of the
band
Bands
off.
is good.
Yeah.
We did a Main. What was that thing we did with the music on Main? Music on Main Street.
Oh,
Remember
the
it rained?
the porch
yes.
fest.
Yes, it rained.
Yeah, it was like-
and
it was-
all had to
it
go
was
into
a- it
Porch
was a-
Fest. It coincided with Porch Fest.
Well, it went from Porch Fest to Music on Main Street.
Yes.
We had a catchy name. I forget. It was a
Yeah.
Music on
Yeah,
Main. It was
I don't recall.
it was something like that though.
Yeah.
And they played at different locations. Was that funded at all by the Cultural Council?
That was not.
But it could be.
It could be. It definitely would qualify.
Yep. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So, okay, we have these good ideas, and we could probably think of good ideas all night. Let's talk about the logistics of how we put these ideas into action. When is grant season 2018?
It starts September 1st and ends on October 15th. All applications need to be in by that date.
So you have a month and a half to put in your application online, and which means, you know, October 14th, you know, midnight, you're there.
Yes.
You know, I mean, 10 p.m.
Yes.
You're like, oh no, I gotta put it there. Great.
And computers are not forgiving. If you miss the time, you miss the time. There's
That's
no,
it.
you know, begging for an extra hour.
Right.
Yeah. So you got to plan
it's
ahead.
a hard stop.
It is. And it's best to go into that online application with all the materials that you need. So you should know what your budget is. You should know what you need to budget for. If this is your project, generally speaking, you kind of have a good idea about what you need in terms of funding. If you're going to be using a venue of some kind to do an event or a program, you should have some letter of support from that venue that you're going to be doing your performance in, because we don't want to fund something that you don't have permission to do. We want to make sure that if we give you the money, this is actually going to happen. And have a good description of your event, how it benefits Fitchburg, who's allowed to participate in this. Again, it has to be open to the public, but sometimes it's focused more maybe towards seniors or towards kids, but it's still open to the public in general. And how many people that it serves is also very useful.
So kind of think about what your program's going to be doing, but you can do all that when you open up your grant application as well.
Yes.
So you can be opening up this grant application, looking through all the questions, checking out the budget, and kind of opening it up, enter some things, hit save.
Yes, you don't have to sit down, start to finish, to do the application.
Right.
You can start it, and when you get stuck, oh, I need materials for this, that, or the other thing question, you can save it, go get what you need, then come back maybe in another day or two, and go in and update the application from where, pick up where you left off.
So if you're interested in getting a grant or doing a grant, then it really behooves you to open it right up, right in the beginning of September.
September 1st.
Create an account or whatever you do. Go in, check out all the questions, and kind of think about what you need in order to properly fill out this application.
Yes.
Because you know, I've sat through a lot of cultural council meetings, and often it'll be, they don't have any information on how they're going to fund it, or they have this budget, but they don't have any information on what they're spending their money on. You know, it really has to be. You really have to explain what you're doing well.
Yes, that's correct. And what we try to do in our online, on our Facebook page with the Mass Culture Council, where we itemize what our priorities are and we put in the program guidelines, we try to be as specific as possible with what we're looking for when you go through the grant application process. So that way you can, after you've completed your application, go back to the guidelines and see, did you meet all the requirements in those guidelines? And if you did, then there's a good chance your application won't be thrown away in the first round. You know,
Right.
we go through, is it complete? Great. If it's complete, it moves on to the next round. Then we go, how does it meet the priorities of the council? Does it meet the priorities of the council? Yes. Okay, you go over here. And then if it doesn't, you go over here and you're rejected. And then we go to that group that meets the requirements, it has all the materials that's there, and says, okay, these are now approved for funding. How are we going to fund them? And then that's where we get into that mathematical gymnastics I was talking about.
Right. Okay. So, what's an example of a grant you won't fund?
We won't.
So that, you know, people don't waste their time.
Well, if you want to have a banquet for, I don't know, we'll just say it's a Little League banquet.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And you want the Cultural Council to pay for food. It's not going to happen.
So food is not,
Food
you
is
cannot
not.
apply for funding for food.
That is correct.
But you could apply for funding to market your Little League program.
If the Little League program was in line with the the priorities of the council. So I'm not sure a sporting event falls under arts, but I don't know.
Okay.
It would be up to the council to decide that.
All right.
You know, that's why we have a number of us, so we have different perspectives on the grant applications. So while I might feel that Little League is not an art form, perhaps there's a handful on the council that do and can justify it and persuade the rest of the council to understand it from that perspective,
Right.
and pass it along as funding.
Okay, so what's another example of something that you won't fund? What's some examples of things that have been like, what do they think, and this isn't going to get funded?
We have, well...
Is there any like that?
No, not really. there was a project someone had wanted us to fund them building a piece of furniture for their organization, and that wasn't really in line with what we were charged to fund, so we did end up rejecting that.
It's not really a public art
Open to the
piece?
public.
Yeah, it was
or-
more of a private, I don't know, a private project to help the private institution, so to speak.
How about...
Or it was interpreted that way. I think the intent may not have been that, but that's the way it came across in the application.
I've seen a few projects come in that are not taking place in Fitchburg.
Yes, and they could be eligible for funding. So if let's say it's a large thing that happens in Worcester, I can't think of something off the top of my head.
Start on the street.
Start on the street. If a lot of folks from Fitchburg go there, then it is a benefit to the Fitchburg public because a lot of folks from here go.
Okay.
And it could qualify if the other guidelines were met. Generally speaking, because we don't have that much funding and we don't have and we have so many applications that we try to limit to what helps Fitchburg proper, like within our city.
Right.
And if there should be money left over, then we can look at programs that occur outside the city for the same benefits.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So grant season starts September 1st.
Yes.
And it runs through October 15th.
Yes.
Our public input meeting is Wednesday, August 22nd from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Fitchburg Historical Society.
Correct.
Free and open to all, and you should join even if you're not going to say anything because you can listen and get a feeling for
just
what some
come.
projects people have done or might do.
There's going to be
Talk to the
people.
past grantees.
Right, you can talk to people who have gotten grant funds before. There will be people who I've been speaking to who are definitely going to come because they have their projects and they kind of want to pitch them at the public input meeting.
Okay.
You know, while they're there, and maybe they can get some support for it.
Smart.
You know, yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Matt, can we pull up this link page on the screen so everyone can see at home how to follow the Fitchburg Cultural Council? Which is the most useful, Joe?
The most useful would be our Facebook page and group, which it's pretty long. I'm not going to read it, and if you don't have time to write it all down, you could just go to Facebook and type in Fitchburg Cultural Council, and you'll find both our page and our group there.
Yep. And when we fill out our application, you'll have links to that on the Facebook page, but otherwise you can go to the massculturalcouncil.org
That is
and
correct.
it'll link you right to your local cultural council, which is Fitchburg.
That is correct, which is very easy for those of us that live here to spell. And we do have an email address if you want to correspond directly with members of the council, and it's culturalcouncilfitchburggo@gmail.com. So feel free to write to us
Any
at any time,
questions or
and we
anything?
monitor that pretty regularly.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Anything else we need to add for the audience that you want to get across?
I would like to say that the Mass Cultural Council also has other programs besides the local cultural council.
Oh, like the school bus grant?
The school bus grants, and they also have
Or the yellow bus? Yeah, it's something like that.
it's a yellow school bus grant.
Yellow school
yes,
bus grant.
That's what it's called. They also have a program for facilities improvements.
Okay, because
So
you
the
can't...
Cultural Facilities Fund, it's called.
You can't use this cultural council grant to update your building.
Well, actually, starting this grant season, you can.
Ooh.
Yes.
So that's a change.
Yes. And there are several others that you can look up right on the Mass Cultural Council's website that is of interest to you. But one of the things that I think is really great to point out, if we still have time, is the grant monies are paid up front.
Right. You get a check before you start.
You get a check so you can go have your event, and you don't have to worry about raising funds and then trying to get reimbursed later. We joined the pilot program with the Mass Cultural Council on that last year. It went over great. The grantees loved it. And the Commonwealth, I had heard, was going to do it for everybody this coming year, but I'm hearing now that it's only going to be a smaller number of people joining the pilot. And I've had Cultural Council chairs from other cities calling me, asking me about the program that we've been doing and how it's been going. So there was great interest from other cities to do this pay up front type of grant program.
So we got in on the ground floor.
We did. I like getting in on the ground floor and things. Yep.
All right, great. So you can go to Fitchburg Cultural Council on Facebook. Just search it in your search bar and it'll probably come up. And grant season will start September 1st, and we'll see you August 22nd. We're going to take a short break, and then we're going to be speaking with the United Way Youth Venture.
I think of wellness as such a broad term, because when we think of wellness, it's emotional wellness, it's physical wellness, it's social wellness. You know, there's all these components of wellness that mean something different to you than they do to me. And we're seeing that with the variety of guests that we get on, and they go, how does this connect to wellness? Because we always think of wellness as a component of health. You know what I mean? I believe in everything that we do here at FATV, you know, where it's community involvement, where it's volunteerism, where there's civility, you know, opportunity. So if my message can be to the community, my God, these are things that you can do to improve your health or improve your life or recognize these signs and symptoms before they really get to be problematic, then I've done my job.
Chess Chat is the only television program in the United States that presents chess in the way we do it. We try to be entertaining, we try to actually inform, educate our viewers as far as the world of chess, which is a fascinating world. If more people took up chess, and especially young players, they would actually be exposed to critical thinking, learning logic. I mean, I think this is very valuable for especially youngsters, you know, at an early age, to learn to be critical in their thinking, because I want to let people know that chess is a fantastic game, but it's also an art, it's a science, it's a sport. The world of chess has a wealth of information about chess. We could go on forever talking about chess players, chess events. I and my co-hosts will never run out of material for Chess Chat.
And welcome back to Discussing Fitchburg Now. Here on our second half of the show, we're speaking with members of the United Way Youth Venture. We have Youth Venture Venturers, Youth Venturers,
Yep.
And Jake, our outreach specialist. And so Genevieve, you did, what was your Paws, Helping Paws?
Yes.
Helping Paws. And Estelle, you started, which one was you? You are involved with the Current Events Club.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I was a panelist for the Current Events
Yep.
Club. Oh, so that was my kind of gateway into the United Way Youth Venture. Yeah, so thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
All right, so Helping Paws. Let's talk about that first. How did you start doing that? Did
Well-
you start Helping Paws?
Kind of. So Evan came in, and we all decided that we all loved cats and dogs. We hated that kill shelters were happening. So we kind of started on brainstorming about what we want to do about it. So we were trying to make up a day for bake sale and see if dogs and cats can be adopted.
And when did you start doing that?
We started it last year during school. So
And what school do you go to?
McKay.
McKay?
Yep.
All right, so the United Way Youth Venture came into your school and kind of offered you this opportunity?
Yes.
How did you start?
So Miss Carnabucci, our science teacher, she let us jot down things that we would like to do. Some of us did the hurricane that happened, and we all decided we wanted animals because we hated that people do that to animals.
So did you do it as a class or as a small group?
Small groups. We have 5 of us in a group.
And so there's 5 of you doing Helping Paws?
Yes.
And you've been doing this since last year?
Yes.
Uh-huh. And so how have you fundraised, or what did you get for a grant?
We got $450.
$450?
Yes.
And what have you done so far?
We haven't launched yet. We just got our money for it. But we're planning to do a bake sale at the Leominster Animal Control Center. So we're in the stage of figuring out when we're going to be doing it. So we're trying to do it this year.
So you're going to try to fundraise
Yep.
using a bake sale.
Yes.
And what are you how much money do you want to raise? What's your goal?
We're trying to raise around $150 to $200.
So then you have $600 to $650?
Yes.
And how much money is that? What value is that? Will you be able to save one dog?
We're trying to at least get 20 animals adopted by that fundraiser so we can help the animal shelter get more dogs and cats that need homes.
So you're going to use that money to hold an adoption event?
Yes.
Oh, nice. And you're working with the United Way Youth Venture, and you're working with the Leominster Animal Control.
Yes.
And who else? Your teacher at McKay.
Yes. So far we are trying to get more shelters. So far we only have the Leominster Animal Control and Fitchburg, so that's pretty much what we have right now, but we're trying to evolve into different shelters.
And so Jake, when we talk about different venture programs that are chosen by the students, right? It seems like we have a lot of interest in a few different subjects,
yes,
right?
very
Like
much.
animals, right?
Animals is a big topic in our program. A lot of the younger kids, elementary school, middle school, and even some high schoolers are really big on the animal topic.
And so when they have their choice of kind of what they want to focus on, what kind of range what kind of range do they have? What kind of options?
They have anything that they can think of that they want to fix, that they want to try to fix is allowed. We don't really put a barrier on what they can and can't do. It's up to them to decide what they want to do, and they go on with that.
Really? So it's just really open.
It is.
Like what problem do you want to solve? And how do you want to organize to solve the problem?
Right, exactly. That's our whole motto. So we give a visual representation. It's you take a passion that you have and then a problem in your community, and you create your venture team to fix it.
So Estelle, you're involved with the Current Events Club at Fitchburg High School. And so what problem is the Current Events Club solving?
So we've definitely gone through a variety of different things that we've wanted to solve or touch upon, but currently we're working towards a compost bin to help reduce waste in our school. So that's definitely a big project coming up in the fall.
A compost bin for Fitchburg High.
To reduce the waste, that we produce.
So something that maybe the lunch personnel would be able to divert food waste from the trash can into the compost bin.
Exactly.
Now, how do you come up? No, so you're already a current venture. You were funded last year. And you've already launched. And you've done a few fundraisers. Now, but the Current Events Club kind of is
Exactly.
You have multifaceted kind of ideas. Now, how do you determine what your next venture is going to be within your venture?
So we take the passions of people of young individuals in our club, and we say, how can we give that back, to our community, to our world? And we try to give everyone a fair share, and we just try to come up with, well, how can we implement that?
So as a group, you kind of, what's our next focus? And you kind of voted on composting. Someone
we all have a passion for that.
We have a big problem with food waste, and everyone was like, yes. Okay. So what's the plan for the composting? I like it.
So we haven't really worked out all the kinks yet, but we definitely want to focus on how we can, like you said, transfer the plastic on our trays, how we can transfer napkins, because even napkins can be composted.
And that you could get compostable plastic.
Exactly. So we've recently, as a school, the Current Events Club wasn't involved in this, but we went from plastic styrofoam trays to reusable trays, which was a big...
I love it. Yes, I saw that in the school committee meeting.
So we were, as a club, very excited about that. So then we were like, well, how can we take that further? How can we really come up with a way to
because
not
it's
waste?
you're still using a lot of hot water and energy to clean those trays.
And you think, and also, I mean, this is in the future that we're trying to work on, utensils. You think you use it once, people could even grab a utensil and they might not even use it and they throw it away.
Right.
And even food, I mean, in school, you have to take a fruit, you have to take a vegetable, you have to take your main. but it's not always eaten and it's just thrown in the trash. And we're like, how can we, instead of that going to waste just in the trash, how can we bring that back and
utilize it for a garden?
Exactly.
I love it. I love it. So have you discussed what your budget will be, what your plan is yet?
Not exactly.
But that will be that will be the next steps.
Exactly.
You'll discuss, okay, what kind of scale are we going to implement this program on? Maybe you start small, but then
And then
you
grow.
You have future plan. All right, and then is this indicative of kind of a lot of the other ventures that occur, Jake?
Yeah, so we have two different types of venture styles. We have project-based, which is like we want to, like helping Paws, we want to save the animals, like that's our thing. But with the current events club, they're more of a sustainable. They have grown immensely, and they pass it down year after year to new leaders. So Landon, who was just the leader of the current events club, he just graduated and has moved on, and they passed it down to Estelle, and now she's the leader of the current events club. So the sustainable part of it is it will go on for years and years and years.
So you're the president?
I'm the vice president.
The vice president.
Yep.
And so you have a system where every year you elect a new upcoming
So
president?
usually what works is the vice president learns the ways of the president, kind of. So every year we kind of go through the motions and kind of get new ideas.
So maybe the president is always a senior?
Not exactly.
Okay.
But
Yep. Yeah. So that makes it able to be sustaining.
Yep.
Right. Because you're a high school program. Now, what about you, Genevieve? How do you plan on? Do you plan on taking this with you as you go in your group of 5?
Yes.
Or do you plan on it being a school kind of program? Because it's really not a school program.
Yeah. We haven't figured out what we wanted to do yet, but so far we're trying to do it in school. But then once we get more into doing what we're doing and figuring out what we want to do, we may want to do it outside of school.
Yeah. Yeah. So, how long has United Way Youth Venture been running?
It's been going on for a really long time, a lot longer than I've been around. I'm fairly new. I just completed my first year. It's been going on for many years, 10 plus years, 15 plus years. It's been around for a long time, and in a lot of schools for a really long time.
So it sounds like, these are good opportunities. You're almost starting your own little businesses, your own little nonprofit entities that you can grow into real nonprofit corporations, or you can say, okay, that was great while I was in school, and we did some great things, and you can leave it alone. Well, how many of the youth ventures, of the past have gone on to be bigger and better things?
I know there have been, I don't know the exact names of the groups, but I know there have been 2 or 3 teams in the past that have actually become their own nonprofit organization after they get out of school, which is really cool to see because they're taking something that we helped them start in school because it was a passion of theirs, and they're turning it into like a lifelong event.
And I feel like that's like a kind of the long-term goal.
Right, it is, yep. So to basically just help children better the community, and as they grow, they can just continue helping and making the community better places for everybody.
And I mean, what a great opportunity for you to come up with a project of your own and implement it for real. Not as just a theoretical project in school, but you're really doing things.
Yes.
You're really creating budgets, and you're really going to help adopt 20 dogs.
We put them through we call it an action plan, but it's almost a business plan that before they do anything, they have to go through and they have to plan everything out, their timeline, their fundraising ideas. They actually have to do their own budget. And we have middle schoolers and elementary schoolers who are learning how to do a budget in 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th grade, which is enabling them to be better students because maybe they'll understand math a little bit more. So it's really cool to see them go through the whole process.
gives you lifelong skills. Definitely gives you lifelong skills.
Giving you real world experience.
Right.
You're not just adding numbers with no reason.
Yep.
You're actually doing math for a purpose.
Yes.
And you can see, oh, I get it.
Yep.
Yeah. Can we pull up some of these pictures, Matt, on the screen? Where, because United Way doesn't just help organize these ventures, but you help fund them as well.
Correct.
So you give out the big checks for these ventures.
Yep.
So like here, Project Film, we
Yep.
have $1,000.
Yep.
Oh, here's at
That was a spring showcase.
the Spring Showcase at Great Wolf Lodge. Oh, there's Genevieve. Is this your group?
Only 2 other girls were in there that were in my group.
And here we have Paws for Love. There. Oh wait, no, that's coming up next. What's that? Help for the homeless. What do we got that? What's that? Toy
Town Helpers.
Yep.
What do they do? Do you know about them?
Yep. So they are new this year. So they started a book nook in Haywood Hospital, and will hopefully be expanding to Leominster Hospital. But what they do is they put them in the book nooks in the emergency room. They stock them with books, and then they will go around, and kids can take books, read books, take them home if they'd like. And they actually did a book fundraiser. They fundraised books. Everybody got a raffle ticket for a couple. They can put in supplies or whatever they want to win, and they raised over 1,300 books for the school.
Wow.
Yep. And that was in 1 week.
And that's thoughtful too, because you know, for people in the emergency room,
Right.
you know, you're waiting a long time
Yep.
often.
Yep. So it was actually started by a little girl named Maddie. She was in the emergency room for a while, and she was like, it'd be really nice if we had books or something to read. So she was on the youth venture team, and she brought it up to the group, and the group loved the idea. So she started her own book nook, and then the group kind of built off of it, which was really cool to see, to help out other students. So.
That sounds like great opportunity also for group activity.
Yep.
You know, sometimes, especially nowadays, you know, it's hard to work with other people in real life.
Yeah.
You know, you see them online, and you're like, all right, yeah, I'll just stay home.
Yep.
But with this opportunity, you're really working with a group, and you're being collaborative, because you really have to be. Right?
As hard as it can be sometimes.
Let everybody have their fair share. Yeah. So, what else? What other events have the Current Events Club done besides composting?
We've definitely been involved in a lot, especially this past year, our first year. We initially started out with the hurricane that happened, the Maria hurricane, I think it was. We funded, and teachers at our school that had family that were affected by it, we got them flowers and just kind of like gave our support to them. We did a duct tape our principal and our vice principal, which is where we duct taped them to a wall.
And people paid
to duct tape them down. Yep, by the end they were covered. So
I saw pictures of it and made me laugh.
It was awesome. Everyone was like, I'll definitely participate in that.
You've done that a few times actually, right?
Yeah, so we did our principal and our vice principal. So that was exciting.
Principal Roche is a good sport.
Yes, definitely. It gives a way for people that, like students, that they really want to be involved in something like that. Like they can, it's kind of appealing to them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I would pay money to duct tape them. And you've also held a movie night for a fundraiser, right?
So fundraiser for pediatric cancer, which was
for Team
Tiago.
Team Tiago.
We partnered with Team Tiago for a pediatric cancer night. I think we raised about $400 to pediatric cancer, which was amazing.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. We showed the Polar Express. It was awesome.
Yep. Nice. So really what you're doing is you're figuring out a problem you'd like to solve, and then you're figuring out how much funds you need to get to a reasonable goal, and then you need to hold an event like a bake sale or a movie night or a duct tape fundraiser, or you can do other fun events in order to fundraise. What are other fundraising ideas or opportunities that have been thrown around in your groups?
There's one that we were throwing around. We were seeing if at our school we can do like a drive, like we put a bucket outside or in our school and say bring in toys or food or blankets, just like a fundraiser, so we can give it to the Leominster and Animal Control Center.
Oh, so like you're looking for blankets or doggy toys or cat food, so that you can help offset their costs.
Yes.
With actual items.
Yes.
Because sometimes people don't like to give money.
Yes.
Sometimes people like to donate things.
Yep.
Right?
Yes.
That's good. I like that idea. What about the Current Events Club? Any other fundraising ideas?
We're thinking of doing kind of like a 5K for some type of event. So
I know the 5K for shoes.
for Little Feet, yep.
For Little Feet, they raised a lot of money
definitely
for
did.
shoes.
Yep. So the Current Events Club, we throughout the year we were thinking, okay, so we do these events, but we want to touch upon different kind of sections. So what can we do for physical health? What can we do for mental health? What can we do for the plastic footprint that we're leaving on the earth?
The environment.
Exactly. So we were thinking maybe, so what is an event that we can do for each of these? So we were thinking, oh, maybe a 5K for physical fitness. So kind of touching upon what we can do to kind of support all of these different sections, I guess.
Through your fundraiser, better the
Yes.
community as well.
Exactly.
Jake, do you ever have like sponsorship opportunities for these ventures in addition to their own little fundraisers? Like, do businesses ever sponsor these?
Yes, so we actually have quite a few venture teams who will actually go to businesses and ask for donations, and it helps offset a lot of the costs. So they might budget $200 for snacks for a movie night or whatever, and they'll go to a business and ask for donations, and they can receive donations. Some companies either give them extra money to spend, or some companies will actually give them the items that they need.
Oh, so yeah, like for example, if you want to sell popcorn,
Yep.
you're like, hey, would you mind donating popcorn
Right.
so that we can sell it to raise money?
Yep, exactly.
Brilliant. What are some other sponsors that that ventures have gone to for ideas?
For ideas, that's a good. I mean, they're.
I feel like because the
That's a tough
fundraising
question,
component is
yeah.
one of the major components
It is.
of ventures,
Yep.
right? You have the idea and the problem,
Yep.
and then you have the fundraising to solve that problem.
Right. I know it is widespread. A lot of the local companies like to support the venture teams within the community. So a lot of the local businesses are always looking to help out at any cost they can to make the community a better place, which is the whole idea of their ventures. I know Johnson Controls is a big supporter of youth venture,
Oh, nice.
and they are always out to help support for the program itself.
Great. Yeah. All right. Let's see. What else do we have going? So what about adults as
Yep.
like mentors?
Yep. So for the mentoring part, we have allies. So what the allies do is they are a non-controlling adult within the venture team. So for a lot of the middle schools, the allies could be a parent, or even for high schools, but maybe they need rides. Maybe they have a parent that's all gung-ho on helping them do this, and they can give rides and give advice when needed, but they're really a hands-off of the project because it's supposed to be kid-led, kid-driven. So if I know, like, a lot of times the allies will come from what they're helping. So animal control, maybe they'll get an animal control officer who really knows the ins and outs of the business.
And he can sign up to be an ally.
Yep. So within the schools, as they're doing all their projects, a lot of the kids are looking for allies. Sometimes they have people in mind, but sometimes they have no idea who to ask. So it's always good to have that connection where maybe you could reach out to the school or the team to say, hey, it would be really cool if you had something along these lines to be an ally for somebody that's non-controlling but is also there to help when needed.
Is this something you might want to have the community, anyone that might be interested in helping
Yes.
with teams?
So it's not necessarily a how do I want to put this? They can volunteer. It might not necessarily happen. It's kind of up to the team to decide who will help us the most throughout the process. But a lot of times we're also looking for volunteers for some of our events that Youth Venture in general have with our either fall kickoff or our spring showcases. We're always looking for help.
And when you have panelists
Yep.
to determine whether a venture
Right.
is viable, how
Yep.
does that work?
So what the panel process is the kids will come in with a PowerPoint presentation, and they will present it in front of a group of panelists, usually community members, community leaders. You yourself sat on a panel last year, and the kids will run through the panel and you will write down your notes, and at the end you say, yes, I think you guys did great, we will grant you your amount of seed funding, or you guys did awesome, but you might want to look at this, and we call that suggestions, so they don't have to do it. It's just might help them in the future. Or conditions is, you guys did great, but you guys need to do this before we grant you your money. And then the panelists also decide, say they're asking for $500 if they think the $500 is accurate, or if they think they need more or need less, depending on what their budget looks like. So we're always looking for panelists. If sure, they could send an email to somebody from the Youth Venture staff if they were ever interested, because we are always running out of panelists and looking for new people. We always like to engage new people.
So if you're interested in getting involved
Yep.
and volunteering
Yep.
or sponsoring something that might be in line with your interests,
Yep.
how do we contact you?
So you can go through our social medias. We have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Can we pull up the social media for our audience, Matt? So you can see all the links. There it is, that one.
So on any of those, you can always reach out on us to
You're
there.
on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Yep.
The United Way Youth Venture of North Central Massachusetts.
Yep. And it's a little bit different for each social media website.
Yep.
I know Twitter is Youth Venture NCM. That's it. And then message us, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Like I said, we're always looking for panelists. Or you can email, so you can go on to the mwcc.edu website.
The Mount Community College
Yep.
website.
Yep. And they will. Click a couple tabs, and it'll bring up all of our staff and all of our emails and phone numbers. So
if you're interested, you can find it with a quick Google search on the internet.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, so we have Helping Paws, we have the Current Events Club, and how many other venture teams do we have?
We have a lot. So we launched a total of 53 teams last year.
Wow, just
Yep.
in 1 year.
Yep. So, and that's throughout nine districts, and it was awesome. It was a really good year for us. I think that was actually one of our highest years we've had.
The Spring Showcase was huge.
Yes, the spring showcase was awesome. It was really cool.
And that will be, again, this spring, sometime in March?
Yep.
Yeah, if you follow the Facebook page, United Way Youth Venture,
Yep.
United Way Youth Venture of North Central Mass, then you can follow all the updates, and you can actually visit Great Wolf Lodge during their spring showcase, if that's where they hold it.
Yep.
And you can learn more about it. So make sure to follow United Way Youth Venture on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever your social media hearts desire.
Yep.
And you can see more of what our girls tonight here are doing, and what all our youth venturers out there are doing.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Genevieve
Thank
of
you.
Helping Paws, Estelle
Yep.
of the Current Events Club on Fitchburg High, which is also on social media.
Yeah.
You can follow Current Events Club
Yeah.
there as well. And Jake, our outreach specialist for United Way Youth Venture. Thanks so much for coming on, and thanks so much for watching at home. This has been Discussing Fitchburg Now. We'll see you next week. Maybe in 2 weeks, actually. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank
This was a
you.
good show.
Thank you.